Hello, my name is Marcus Wilson, and I'll be doing my topic over Brazil. Um, and just some brief overview of what I'll be going over today. First, we'll do our uncertainty avoidance, and then a low-high context language, and then long-term, short-term orientation, followed by our major industries in Brazil. Um, so, uncertainty avoidance for Brazil. This dimension, uncertainty avoidance, has to do with the way that a society deals with the fact that about the future can never be known. Should we try to control the future, or should we just let it happen? This ambiguity brings with it anxiety, and different cultures have learned to deal with this anxiety in different ways. The extent to which the members of a culture feel threatened by ambiguous or unknown situations and have created beliefs and institutions that try to avoid these is reflected in the score on uncertainty avoidance. At 76, Brazil scores high on uncertainty avoidance, and so do the majority of Latin American countries. These societies show a strong need for rules and an elaborate legal system in order to structure life. The individuals need to obey these laws, however, they're weak at doing so. If rules, however, cannot be kept, additional rules are dictated. In Brazil, as in all high uncertainty avoidance societies, bureaucracy, laws, and rules are very important to make sure the world is a safer place to live in. Brazilians need to have a good and relaxing moments in their everyday life, chatting with colleagues, whether it's enjoying a long meal or life, or dancing with guests and friends, due to their high score in this dimension. Brazilians are very passionate and demonstrative people. Emotions are easily shown in their body language. So for a low high context language, their communication style, Brazilians prefer the high context communication style. In the workplace, Brazil has a flexible time culture. Human behaviors, attitudes, and feelings are more important than a strict schedule when doing business in Brazil. Time is always number two. It can never be changed and stretched. Time is pretty much irrelevant to Brazilians. Brazilians do not care for it one bit. They care more about people and how they treat one another. So for this, I compared the Brazil's high context to the American low context. For Brazil's, they prefer implicit language and derive most information from the context of the communication rather than the actual code used. Whereas American, with the low context, their values are explicit, language is neutral, derives most information through the actual code used to communicate. Brazil's majority high context, there alludes to shared experiences in communication, whereas the American avoids allusions and connotations in communication. Brazil's employs ambiguous communication to convey a wide range of emotional responses, and then the Americans prefer precise language to describe fact, technique, or expectation. Brazil's expects members of the in-group to know and follow the appropriate protocol when interacting. And then American prefers precise language to describe fact, technique, or expectation. And then for a long-term, short-term orientation, this dimension describes how every society has to maintain some links with its own past while dealing with the challenges of the present and future. And societies prioritize these two existential goals differently. Normative societies, which score low on this dimension, for example, prefer to maintain time-honored traditions and norms while viewing societal change with suspicion. Those with the culture which scores high, on the other hand, take a more pragmatic approach. They encourage thrift and efforts in modern education as a way to prepare for the future. At 44, Brazil scores as intermediate in this dimension, so they're more on the long-term orientation side, but they do have some characteristics of a short-term orientation. And then for major industries, so Brazil, their industrial sector, they're high on the steel, automobile and assembly, petroleum processing, chemical production, and cement making. And then tourism, they injected 6.2 billion into the Brazilian economy in 2016 compared to 5.84 billion in 2015. So as you can see, the industrial sector, the steel, automobile assembly, uh, petroleum processing, chemical production, and cement making, they're all bringing in a good amount of revenue to the tourism aspect, and it's bringing in more profit for them. And then for our agriculture, the most major ones were the coffee, soybeans, beef, and crop-based ethanol. Those were the top producers, exports leaving Brazil. And people all over the world export those in from Brazil. So without them having those agriculture benefits, the U.S. wouldn't be able to have coffee, soybeans, beef, crop-based ethanol. And then for the popular sport organization, soccer, FIFA is well known in Brazil. And this was a picture that I found it interesting. Brazil isn't just one of the largest and most diverse countries in the world. It's also an economic powerhouse with the world's 12th largest economy. Here are the top 10 companies growing or powering the wealthiest country in Latin America, being Brazil. The largest producer of iron and ore and nickel in the world is Vale. They also operate hydroelectricity plants, railroads, ships, and ports. They had an income of 73 billion, and then the Petrobras, they're Brazil's largest oil producer and formerly the national and only producer. Uh, Petrobras also has energy assets in 16 other countries. So you can see kind of like the international business aspect being thrown in there with 16 other countries being exported to do business with. And then this was the coffee one. This was the bank one. Bank as well. Electricity. Bank, investment bank, finance corp, and then the PE and Parley Group. And that's my works cited. Thank you for watching.